said you'd be repeated.
I said that at the last possible moment. Okay, you're in charge. I can't sit here.
So Nick, so yes, I would like to introduce Nick. You will introduce yourself after. But that's nice to be that he's here and working with Esteban for making this happening, and also Peer 3, I hope.
Yeah, we haven't quite got around to Peer 3, but we'll see. So this is a presentation I gave at ESUG. So a quick plug for ESUG. It's a very, very good technical conference. If you weren't there this year, you should definitely go. And the talk is about building on top of Pharo. So Seaside, for those of you who don't know, is a very cool web framework that's built on top of Smalltalk, runs very well in Pharo, and then JQuery Mobile runs on top of Seaside. So the agenda for today is we're going to give you a bit of an overview about what JQuery Mobile can do, and the way that integrates with the Seaside web framework, and then about how we can actually use those two together to actually build a mobile app that we can then put in the App Store and potentially make money from. Feel free to interrupt me at any time if anything's not clear or you want to clarify anything. So, those of you who've got iPads or iPhones or anything, you can kind of follow along with the presentation a little bit. There's a live website, jQueryMobile.seasidehosting.st, and all the things I'll be talking about are also on there. So, play. And that site also, what I've tried to do with this site is make it as self-documenting as possible, because I'm lazy and I don't like answering questions in the mailing list. So hopefully most of the answers are actually contained within this website. So for example, if you go to components, there's an installation and that tells you how to install it. Oh, and I've just repeated that, so follow along. So what is JQuery Mobile? Well, JQuery Mobile builds on top of JQuery, and JQuery really revolutionized people's ability to write JavaScript that worked across a different range of browsers. It provided an abstraction layer that enabled people to access the document object model consistently and hook into events from the browser. Before that, it was very tricky. You had to write a different set of events. Netscape for Internet Explorer, Safari, and so on. So JQuery, that's the basis for JQuery Mobile. And JQuery Mobile does the same thing, and it abstracts across a range of different devices. So today we're just going to really be dealing with the iPhone, but it works very well on Android, even the BlackBerry, and some of these older deprecated OSs as well. And I haven't tried it with Windows Phone, but allegedly it works well with that as well. So again, if any of you have got BlackBerries or Android phones, you can have a play and see how it looks. What it actually does is, on the less capable browsers, the experience degrades slightly. So you don't get some of the fancy transitions, but the content still appears one way or another. And it gives you a fairly consistent widget set across those different browsers. So JQuery Mobile is widely used. A lot of people have actually shipped. Well, they ship applications, but they also use it just for doing their mobile websites. So I've taken a couple from the JQuery Mobile site. So Stanford University, I thought that might be relevant, seeing as we're here in an academic setting. IKEA, obviously, you can never do without. So IKEA furniture. And then just a bit of self-promotion here, we've got SlideShare and some of my presentations in there. Right, so now I think we go straight into a demo.
You should send us your slides so that we put them into the website.
These slides?
Yes.
Put Igor slides there as well. They're not there.
So this is, if you download the Xcode IDE, which is, you don't have to, I think you have to register, but it's free. You don't have to join up as an Apple developer. So you can download this for free. This is the iPhone simulator that comes with this. Now, because of the screen constraints, I'm running as a traditional iPhone, not an iPhone 5. So it's got a smaller, slightly smaller screen, and it's not a Retina screen. If we did a Retina screen, it would be somewhere out here. So. Right, anyway, 8082, browse. Okay, now this is showing an unmobile enhanced view of the Seaside framework. And what we're going to do to start off with is we're going to look at example 1. Now then, for those of you, this is the kind of standard demo that we give, that people start off when they learn the Seaside framework. What it shows is a little bit how cool Seaside is. So if we let's just get rid of some of this.
Can you read it?
Yeah, can everyone see that or
No.
not? Can't see that. You need glasses.
Well, that's okay.
Is that okay? So all we're doing here is Seaside uses this Canvas API. So it's a DSL for generating HTML. So we create a heading, H1, and we give it a count, and then we create an anchor and with an href. But the thing is we've abstracted a level, so we don't have to worry with hrefs. We just say callback, and that link calls back into this block here, which does self-increase, and this block here, which does self-decrease. So if we click on here, now what we've done is we've registered this as a JQuery mobile application, and now if we click on the plus link, you see it does a little slide transition. Now if we go back here, we can have some fun and we can change. Let's maybe change the increase link to a flip transition.
But here you don't use any jQuery code. In there is no jQuery reference. In the code that shows.
So what I've done is I've registered the example using a special. Normally you'd use WA admin to register.
So just by attaching the jQuery libraries, then you get this fancy animation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and we'll talk a little bit about what magic goes on behind the scenes when I register as a jQuery mobile application as opposed to a normal application. No, good question. Where were we? Okay, so we've changed to a flip transition. What should we do? We've got a slide. Should we do a slide up transition for the decrease? Let's see what happens now. Alright, so let's see. Flip. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Why did it not press? I saved it, I thought. Going so well. Ah, I know, because I'm being an idiot.
Yeah, you should put it in. Yeah.
This is just to show that it's a live demo. Right. There we go. Okay. So now we get a nice flip transition. Now it looks a lot better if you've got more content on the page. And what do we?
After that's normal.
No, this is Seaside, not Seasick.
And what did we say for the minus? We said slide up. So let's see what happens there. Whoa. Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting. Right. Let's go back and see what else we've got in store for ourselves. Yes. Now I want to talk a little bit about how these transitions are working. Because what Seaside does is it's doing, in both cases, it's doing a full page refresh. But in order for it to do the transition, we've got a nice little ammo, yeah. So what it does is you click on the plus link, and it's actually downloading the page in the background using an Ajax call, and then it inserts that page still hidden into the DOM, and it does a CSS transform between the two, so hides one and shows the other. There we go. So that was just a fade transition, but obviously with CSS transforms, that's how we're getting the flip transition. So in order to do this, here's our beautiful Seaside code, very clear, and here's that really ugly HTML that's generated. So we've decorated our anchor with these two flip and fade here, and that results in a data transition flip and a data transition fade. And they're all contained within a page div. And again, some of the magic behind the registration has inserted this. Normally, Seaside, you wouldn't see this. You just get what you do there. But because I've registered in a special way, I'm inserting some extra HTML there that enables me to, or enables JQuery Mobile to take the new page as a new page here with a different ID, and then do the transition between the two.
We also have a special CSS that's to avoid that the div have more space below and
Ah, yes. That's a very good point. We'll get onto that in a moment, yeah. Yeah, so that's that. The other part of the other magic we have to do is that yeah, so we've already talked about putting this extra div around here, and normally when you do a HTML document add load script, that's just a global script that gets executed when the page loads, but when the HTML page loads. But because we're actually that page never really gets reloaded, it only gets loaded the first time, and subsequently the pages come in using Ajax. That would never get called. So we have to do some rewiring here to actually bind it. So we bind it to page init on the particular page div that it's on. Those two have to link up. But I'm kind of showing you behind the scenes. It's just to show some of the wiring that's been done, but you don't really have to worry about this when you're using it. Okay, so I said I'll talk about some of the magic of JQuery Mobile Admin. So here what we're doing is we're registering a new script generator, and we're registering a new render phase continuation. So we've already talked about the script generator, what that does. And the render phase continuation. Again, Seaside normally creates a new render context for each page refresh. And the render context does this, you can say HTML next ID, so that will start incrementing from 1 for each full page refresh. But because we're getting pages in with Ajax, we want that to be have session scope rather than page scope. So we have to do a little bit of rewiring in the render phase continuation, so this magic all just works. Okay, so let's go into demo 2. So what we're doing here is we're decorating it further, and we're changing the anchors now into buttons. So let's do that. And then you see magically they become plus and minus buttons with a particular transition we've chosen. So we just added these two JQuery mobile button and JQuery mobile button there. Yeah. Now the other thing I wanted to show you on this was, if you've noticed,
Yes.
we get this rather ugly address bar dipping every time you press a plus or a minus. Now, one of the great things about Seaside is that it abstracts away because we're generating to a DSL rather than just outputting strings, we can change the rewiring a little bit. So here I changed the rewiring of the address. And now, if we do plus plus, you see magically the address bar stops dipping down. Now let's have a look. Let's just have a quick look at how that works. So we redefine anchor to say if we're running on iOS, then use an iOS anchor tag rather than just a normal anchor tag. And if we have a look at the iOS anchor tag, then that's, rather than actually outputting a normal anchor, it does this canvas jQuery mobile change page event. So it's doing an Ajax, another Ajax request to pull the thing in. It all works rather beautifully. So the whole point of me banging on about this rewiring is really to talk about how Seaside's got a very beautiful modular architecture. It's enabled me to plug these different bits in and kind of change really what Seaside's doing, but without having to rewrite anything of actual Seaside. It was a very nice architecture, and I could plug the bits in where I needed to. Okay, now we'll talk about okay, so what I've done now is I've inserted a delay for 5 seconds. So when you click on the link, it'll do a 5-second delay, and then it will do the increase. Let's see how that affects us.
Why is that?
Why am I doing that?
Yes.
Well, hopefully the answer will be in the presentation. We'll see. Okay, so I clicked on the link, and it's working away hard here. And if I click again, then we get that loading. Can you see we get that loading animation there? And then eventually, there we go, 21 appears. Now, one of the things you can do is you can use this prefetch attribute here. So when it actually renders the page, it downloads. It follows the links and downloads any other pages that might be linked to, so that when you click on it, that page can instantly appear. So now if I click on plus, it happens immediately. But if I click on it again quickly, it hasn't had a chance to download that cache page.
I'm not modifying the model behind. So maybe you prefetch plus plus, but I will click minus minus.
Ah.
But then you update it.
Well, this is where Seaside really comes into its own.
Okay.
Because what Seaside, one of the magics of Seaside is it manages state for you on the server.
Mm-hmm.
So we say we want it to actually manage the count state. If you look in the code here, there's this callback called states, and you can tell it what states you want Seaside to manage. So we're saying we want it to manage self, and in fact self in this case only contains count.
I don't get it.
Well, I haven't quite finished yet. So.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So what happens is each link kind of results in a lookup table, which is storing the state of the application that you expect to occur when you press that link, and then it can insert that state into the actual components. So it's kind of taking a snapshot of the state. So in this case, if you like, we've got 3 states that exist on the server.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this 23 state, we've got a 22 state,
Okay.
and a 24 state.
Okay. So you create copies of the model.
Not direct. Yeah, we just snapshot the.
Seaside is doing that by Seaside. But
Yeah.
here you are just asking that he's doing more.
Seaside generates a continuation for each moment of the state. So when you go back, you have the same state.
Well, it actually takes a
And
snapshot.
it includes in the continuation.
Yeah,
That's what makes the backward priority.
exactly.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah,
vaguely clear?
Yeah, I will try on my computer and see.
Okay, but it is quite. I mean, it's quite interesting when people haven't come across Seaside before and they. So that's prefetching this page and that page, and those two pages got different states. So there's 3 different states on the server, but there could be n number of states depending on how many links you have on the page.
But your prefetch works only at the page scope. You prefetch only the link on the page, not.
It doesn't follow the links, if you
Yes.
like. No,
Okay.
no.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only one level deep. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So that was that, and I think I failed to answer a question that you had actually, which was about making the content look a little bit nicer. So if we go back to here. So all I've done now is I've inserted something called a content div. So that's something that will surround all of our content, and hopefully, has it died?
Prefetching too much.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can see it's just slightly neater. It's not hard against the left margin anymore. And we'll see later in an application where we actually use that for the main content. But typically you have headers and footers and a content view in the middle. Okay, now then, what I want to do now is give you a quick demo of another sample application. Let's go back. Okay, so this is an example that goes out to Flickr. So we type a tag in here, it goes out to Flickr, and then it displays the photos from Flickr. So I tried INRIA earlier. Should we see? Has anyone uploaded any INRIA photos from the party last night? I don't know. Let's have a look at this. Okay. So there we go. Oh, is that?
Yeah, next.
Wow.
Whose whiteboard is that?
I remember that whiteboard.
Yeah. Okay, so here we're just showing we've got next and previous buttons, and we're using a bit of JavaScript to hook into the slide event. So that slide is circling around. And then if we press this home button, here we go, home here. Now, what this is showing is Seaside has this other concept of calling a component and answering back from the component. So if we go back to here, what we're doing is when we click this button here, is we're calling out to something that a photo displayer, and then when we press back, we answer. Now in this case, we're not actually answering a value, but we can use that for kind of navigating down a tree. So we show, and answer to go back. And Seaside's component model works really well with iPhone applications. So it allows these, a component per screen, and then as you show, you're effectively putting them on the stack and then popping them off with answer. And it's actually easier. Well, many things are a lot easier in Smalltalk than Objective-C, but in Objective-C you pop different view controllers, and that does the normal slide transition. And then when you push them, and then when you pop them off, you come back. But the popping doesn't allow you to actually send a value back to the pushing component. And Seaside allows that really well. Now then, so yeah, in code, what we're doing here is when I clicked on the submit button, I'm creating a new Flickr slideshow component. I'm passing it in the tag, and then what I'm using here are decorations. If we go back and have a quick look, this toolbar at the top is a decoration. Decorations in Seaside, it's a way of composing components together as opposed to kind of deriving from them, including them as a child. So it enables you to reuse bits that you wrap around components very easily. Where are we? Yeah, so I had two decorations. We'll come to that second one in a moment. And then that renders the header, and it renders an icon, blah, 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 and the transition is reversed, so it will do a reverse transition, and then we say to the decorated component, answer. So that pops it back off the stack. Now, and one of the things you might have seen, is this little thing that pops up here. So install this web app on your phone, blah, blah, blah. So if we click on this and follow the instructions, it says add to home screen. So you see we've actually got a nice little Seaside logo here. We click there, it adds it to the home screen. And now we've got it looks like we've installed an application. If we click here, it goes, we lose our, somehow we lose our markup. I don't know why that was. Still works anyway. But you can see now this is full screen. We've lost the Chrome of the browser. There's no browser toolbar at the bottom, and there's no ability to get to an address bar.
So your decoration is redoing which part?
My decorator in this case is simply just doing this toolbar on the top. But that save to the home screen has got rid of the Safari Chrome.
Do you use any existing technology to do that?
Yes, of course. So you're always very good with the questions and my segue to the slides. So I just want to talk a little bit how that works. So what we're doing is, again, I've added a decorator, this bubble bookmark decorator, and a home screen bookmark decorator. Now then, the bubble decorator uses something I downloaded from Google. It's an open source thing that does that pop-up thing. And the home screen bookmark decorator, it tells, we have to set some meta tags to tell Safari that we're an Apple mobile web app capable application. And then we set a whole load of, we set icon, and there's a whole load of, so we set the meta information, bookmark icon, iOS startup image. So there's, I don't know if you noticed, but when it launched, it created a Seaside image, and you can set these up for different sizes and all that kind of nonsense. But it's enables you to give your website. So we're still talking about websites rather than web app, rather than mobile apps at the moment. It enables to give your website a feel of a native app. Okay, now widgets. So let's just have a quick look. Okay, so this is the JQuery mobile Seaside hosting.st site we're looking at here. And if we look at form elements, if we look at form elements, okay, maybe if we probably lost the session, just Let's refresh that. Look at form elements, acted. And we go to the form element gallery. Then we get an idea of some of the widgets that are available. So we got So we've got various, normal text box. We've got a search input where we get a nice little search icon here, and if we start typing something, we can kill it. Flip switch, and nice slider, checkboxes. So these are the idea is this widget set is consistent across all the different mobile platforms you'll see. So it kind of looks vaguely like an iPhone, but not exactly like it. Selection buttons and so on. Now, let's go. Oh, and what does this one do? That does one of these things. If we go back to our presentation. So what's normally happening is it's actually using just standard HTML elements for them, and so all you have to do is use an input for a text input, and JQuery Mobile will do some magic stuff that wraps it and gives it nice borders or puts a little cross in there. So in the case of some of these more advanced elements, it's actually just using HTML5 new widgets that you might not have come across. So there's an HTML range input. Again, this is nothing unique to jQuery Mobile. It's simply using the new HTML5 widget set, and then it does all its extra decoration around that to do some extra stuff, give it a nice big blob that you can move quite easily, and so on. So this one, yeah. This one's a bit more involved, but again, all we're doing here is this is standard Seaside stuff for rendering a set of radio buttons, and here we've just wrapped it up in a control group, and that gives it the jQuery Mobile look. And again here the flip switch, so yeah, this is just a normal HTML select, and we've just given it the extra jQuery Mobile slider to turn it into one of those things. So here, okay, so those were all fairly standard HTML controls, but then there are various jQuery Mobile specific things that you can, controls that you can use. So we've got different column grids, accordions. Let me quickly demo an accordion for you. In fact, these are accordions. So the other thing I've tried to do with this site is most of the page has got this show source. If you click on the show source, it opens. This is an accordion, so it's something that opens to reveal content. And inside there is the source, the Smalltalk code that's actually generating the code you see above, and then there's a show HTML, which this actually formats quite well on an iPad. It's a bit small on an iPhone, but I guess if we rotate, it's still quite hard to see. So those are accordions, and again, those don't have direct analogs in HTML, and they don't have direct analogs in the iPhone widget set, but they're pretty useful. And the other thing is there's a whole set of themes, so you can, here are, basically different colours, but there are a set of A to E themes I think you can use. Okay, so that's all quite good for making a application, a website that will work really well on a mobile device. But one of the things I wanted to do was take that and actually create a mobile app that I could then ship. I could put on the App Store and people could download it, and potentially I could make money. So I thought what we'd do to start off with is start with a clean Xcode project. So let's call this. If we can see that, let's make that a bit smaller. Okay, so that's our template. It's just a grey a grey iPhone. That's the kind of hello world in the iPhone world. Let's just stop. That says that's not running. Okay, that's okay. Cool. All right, so let's run that quickly. So we run up in the iPhone simulator. Maybe that's not such a great idea. Let's put it, yeah, iPad rather. Let's do it in the iPhone simulator. It says it's running. Sometimes Xcode lies. There we go. So there's our simple hello world from Xcode. It's not terribly inspiring. But what we can do, let's see if I can do this in this limited screen space we've got. I'll close that. And I will bring that up there. Okay. So down here we've got a list of controls, and I will drag in a web view. Okay. So there's our web view. And in our implementation file, I'll just create a reference. I'll create a reference to that and call it web view. I'll just change that to strong for magic reasons. We don't need to go into. And I'll get my crib sheet. I'll put a load of horrible Objective-C in, and I will load, let's go to HTTP JQuery mobile .seaside hosting .st. Okay, so not sure if that made sense to everyone. So I've used the Hello World template, my Hello iPhone, and I've added a web view. I've created a reference to the web view here that I can then access here, self web view, and I'm loading a request. This is just some Objective-C gibberish, and I pass in the mobile URL, or the URL for the jQuery mobile site. And then we've got an iPhone app. So we've got an iPhone app, and all it is a web view, but it's accessing our site. So that's kind of quite good. But I don't know if you noticed that it's still not ideal, because when you click on something, you get that loading animation, because it's having to pull it in from the web. Also, if you were on a plane or in the Lille metro, you would be able to use this this wonderful application you just created. So what we really want to do, instead of having this web server up in the cloud somewhere, we want to bring it, we want to put Pharo actually onto the iPhone and have the client and server on the same device. So we still use this web view, but we have the server actually running on the same device. So let's have a quick look and see if we can do that, shall we? Okay, so here's one I've prepared already. So here we have Pharo running on the iPhone. Now, if you can see, this is running Seaside on 8080. So why don't we just have a quick look and see if that's working. If I go to localhost 8080, So it's running the Flickr Photos example. Let's try.
Because the simulator runs in the local host.
Okay.
So local host is the same for both.
So does that make sense? So
Yeah,
so Pharo on the iPhone is serving up a Seaside application. Okay, so this is step one.
You should put
Right.
a
Now
host
then-
entry in the iPhone simulator colon 8080, which forwards to localhost. It's a bit nice for university.
Now Esteban and I have done a little bit of. Well, when I originally did this demo in ESUG, I had to hack the iPhone VM for Pharo quite a lot, and what we've done is we've just tied it up. So now we've got, this is the info key list, which is just a place you can stash a load of properties, and we've got this new property called Web View as UI. So if we just magically change that to yes. Ooh, yes. Okay, and then okay, everyone cross their fingers. This is hot off the presses, we did this yesterday. So now then, let's try running that. And ta-da! There you see. And if we do this, let's do Inria again, slideshow. Then there we go, that's working.
That's neat.
Oh, thank you.
That can be intention.
The web server is running inside
Yes.
the iPhone.
What happens if you
To be
save
clear.
save it on the home screen with that pop-up that
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, clearly, if you're developing an application, you'd remove that decorator. But let's try. Yeah, there's no button.
You
there.
cannot press the button.
Yeah, there's no button there. Because
yeah, right, it just forwards to the button. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's. I was hoping you wouldn't notice that. Eagle-eyed.
I was waiting for that.
Spotted the flaw in the demo. Ah! Right, now where are we? Okay, so here I just described what I did. There's some,
Magic.
silly magic, Objective-C stuff you have to know there. Alright, so I think that's quite exciting. So the last day Esteban and I have made a lot of progress actually making it possible for other people to reproduce this. So
That's not that important. You should keep the secrets for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep the secret.
Yeah.
So there are two main things we did. One of the problems with the iOS VM was that you couldn't actually run it in the simulator. You could only run it on the device, which made it quite painful for debugging, because every time you had to have a device there, you had to have a developer license in order to debug it, and the whole debug cycle is a lot slower. So now we've got two. We can generate the project as a device project, so it'll only run on the device, or we can generate a different project that will run on the simulator. Ideally, you'd be able to just switch, but that was the easiest way to do that. And we've also added
just remind a couple of steps to have it in Jenkins bits.
Yes. So we should be able to automatically build this, and then people can download the VM and play with it. So that's pretty cool. But one of the things that jQuery Mobile enables is it works on Android, and it should work on Windows 8 if Windows 8 becomes a successful platform. So it would be great, and we've already got the VM running on Android. So it would be great if someone with a bit of Android knowledge could build an Android version that had a web view in a similar way to the work I've done, and the same with Windows 8. And then we've got the ability but then we've got pretty powerful ability, because we can create a jQuery mobile application very rapidly in Seaside, and we can deploy it across the major platforms.
Did you discuss with Dimitri, the guy that did the Android?
Yes, no, I didn't talk with him yet. Because now that we have the thing working in iPhone, it's going to be easy to convince him to.
Yeah, exactly. Because in fact, yes, that would be really cool. I see some ideas that we have that could use this kind of technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Windows 8 is going to be harder because I don't know no one that wants to build the VM for Windows 8.
Yeah, but for the moment we don't care, they don't exist.
Yeah. The other thing that you've got things like libraries like PhoneGap, and what PhoneGap does. So inside a web view, you're limited with what you can access. You get touch events and you can detect slides and things like that. But if you want to access the camera or access photos or things like that, you can't do it. But there are libraries like PhoneGap that inject JavaScript into the browser that enable you then to access the camera and access the photo browser. So that would be pretty interesting. And I think the reason, of course, we could do that potentially using our Objective-C bridge from the image, but we'd have to again do the similar thing on Android and potentially on Windows, and somebody else has already solved this problem. So it seems like that's a reasonable approach, just to pull in another library, inject some extra objects into the JavaScript API, and then we can script it in JavaScript. I think what would be really cool would be able to do remote development to an iDevice. So you have Pharo running on there with a web view, and you can, from another window somewhere, you can actually play around with the image and refresh and see what's actually happening.
We had that almost, wasn't that running with
Yeah, that's right.
the remote development?
Yeah, that works with the BNC server.
Yeah?
No, I was talking about the Nautilus that was communicating
Ah,
with Yammer, because that would be the same way, right?
Yeah, it's working.
You are using WebSockets?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we've nearly got all these different pieces. It's just a matter of bringing them all together. So some acknowledgement. So Louis Andres, he sponsored the development work I did for the JQuery mobile stuff. Obviously Esteban, who's worked with the VM, has been invaluable. John McIntosh sent me some code that sent me in the right direction. And of course the Seaside team have done a great job making this beautifully modular architecture that enabled me to plug things in and rewire some of the HTML output that I needed for JQuery mobile. That's it. Thank you. Any more questions? Stunned into submission.